We're here July 26th, and calling the meeting to order here at 5:36. And we'll jump into if there are any adjustments to the agenda for tonight. There's no one here from the public, or are there any items that are not on the agenda?
No, I realize
Nope.
I can't shake my head at you, so just no.
Okay, from my end.
Alrighty, we'll move on. May 11th. So obviously we weren't here in June, but are there any changes or adjustments to the minutes from our May 11th meeting?
I don't have any.
I'm okay with it. Yep, good.
Alrighty, then we'll accept the minutes as they are and move forward. Okay, so first item on the agenda for tonight is to look at our housing committee charge and goals. And the most recent copy that we have is, I think, the copy from 2020. So as Virginia, you had suggested the other month that we should look at those. And I think it's something that we should look at anyways and make sure that we are on track with what we feel like we want to accomplish and also in line with the town. So I will, looking for the copy here. I will pull up a copy.
I have my own copy to save you
Okay.
bandwidth. We could each look at our own.
Sure, that would be great. That, Keith and Virginia, do you both have the Richmond Town Housing Committee charge from 2020?
I'll need to pull it up.
Yeah, me too. Hang on one second. It's probably in my other file.
This was the one approved August 17th, 2020, Mark?
Correct. Yes.
Got it.
Oh, it should be on the documents archive. I don't see it.
It's
Let
in.
Do you want me to email it to you, Keith?
me see if it's on the planning and zoning website.
Sure.
It is in the Google Drive that was set up for the Housing Committee. And Keith, I believe you have access to that, right?
I do. But let me see what I have here. It was 2020. That's not going to be here. The housing study. Okay.
Do you want to email it to me, Connie? Anyway,
Sure.
I can't find it. at the moment.
I'll email it to both of you.
Yeah,
Right.
please. Thank you.
You bet.
I did put a link in our chat that goes to the one that's in our folder that we should all have access to.
I can't remember how to get there, but
Okay.
to get to our.
The chat's really easy, Virginia. And thank you, Mark. I just pulled it up.
The Google Drive, I didn't really remember. Let's see, how do you save this chat? I forget now.
Virginia, it might be easier to pull it up on the chat. Mark put a link there.
Okay. All right.
Go back to this.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
All right.
Great.
I don't know where that link would be. I mean, except in the chat, but other than just now in the chat, I don't really know where that link, where I would find it, how I would find that link.
You'd ask Mark.
Yeah, so it was it's in that Housing Committee folder. I think it's something that Revy had set up long ago. That second link I just put in the chat goes directly to the drive. So it does also have like our needs assessment, documentation and things like that that were developed and created.
This is on the Housing Committee page of the town website?
No,
No,
no.
it's in the Google Drive.
Click
Yeah,
the
well, how do
second,
I get to the Google Drive, except for right now? Well, never mind. Well, I've got it right now because
It's
you
a-
put it in the chat, but I don't really know how to get there otherwise. So
so
you'll have to
Virginia,
help me at some point.
Virginia, it's worthwhile just clearing this up right now. Mark put in 2 links in the chat. Did you see them both?
No, let's see. Now I'm at the Town of Richmond Housing
You-
Committee charge. How do I get back to the Zoom? I guess we can go back here. Nope. Nope.
Are
So
you,
I don't know where the chat is now. I don't know where the Zoom meeting is now. So
are you on an i device, an Apple device, or are you on
no.
you're on a Windows?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with pressing down Alt and clicking and pressing Tab at the same time? Alt first, then Tab. That will move you through all your windows.
Okay. If I press Alt and Tab at the same time, I just keep getting the Town of Richmond Housing Committee charge.
So if you go Alt, hold down Alt with one finger
Yep.
and press Tab repeatedly, it should move you through all your windows.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I could go back to the
You should find Zoom.
Zoom meeting. I have two chat messages.
So the first chat message is the charge.
Yep.
And second chat message is the whole drive where you'll find all of the documents that Ravi helped set up for our committee.
Yeah, but how do I get to that if I'm not in this Zoom meeting chat?
So you can copy that link and save it to a document or a notes or any place where
Bookmark
you
it.
like to keep information. Or you
Okay.
can save it as a favorite on your
Well, I don't know how to do any of those things.
all right. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to email it to you in a separate email.
Okay, that would be good.
And-
Then
and
I
then
can
you
put it in my
wherever you want.
archives.
Exactly. All right.
Okay, that sounds good.
You bet. All right. Moving forward on the charge.
Now I have to get back to the charge. How do I select which one I want here? Let's see. I'm pressing down Alt, press down Tab. Now, how do I pick out which? It's giving me the 3 screens that are open.
Right. And
Now,
one
how
of
do
those
I-
is, so pick the one that's your browser.
What do you mean pick it? Pick it.
So
What do you
so
mean?
stop when you as you press tab, it moves through the different windows.
Well, they're all winking.
Ah.
Okay, now wait a second. Press Alt. Let me try this again.
Sure.
Now it's getting back to the Zoom screen. Okay, now sorry to take up all this time.
No, it's all right. It's good to be
So-
able to use your tech.
All of these screens are winking with a border that's winking.
Does they all wink at you as opposed to just one? So release the Alt and the tab and tell me where you are.
Okay, well, now I'm back at the housing committee charge. But I don't know what I did. They were all winking and I just released the tab and the Alt. But here I am. I'm back at the town housing committee charge.
Excellent. One problem at a time. We'll do this one. We'll do the charge now.
Yeah, sounds good.
Perfect. Thank you, Connie, for the assistance there.
Yes, thank you, Connie.
So-
You bet.
So this was the original charge. Now I wasn't around when this was developed, but you know, a couple points to pull out, right? In that first paragraph, policy related ideas and concepts, and ensuring that housing is made available for all protected classes. So just wanted to kind of call that piece out, and then it lists all the protected classes, right? And then providing recommendations. So scrolling down a little bit, there's the short-term goals and the long-term goals. And I think this is where we maybe want to spend a little bit of time within that statement of purpose, right? That we just mentioned.
Yep.
Talking about like, who we want to accomplish in the next year.
Okay, so first of all, we have to change it as the goals for 2020 or decide if we've done those or not, because we're done with 2020.
We are done with 2020. So is our goal then to update this document as we review it today and start operating on it? And if so, Mark, do you want to do that or do you want me to do it?
Okay, well,
Are you there, Mark?
Hmm.
Hello, Mark.
Mark is gone off the line again.
Can't hear you. He's gone. He'll be back soon.
Okay,
Well,
so we haven't done the first bullet,
So let's leave it on there.
and it's whether it's a short-term goal or not is debatable.
Sorry, I think I lost you all for a couple minutes
Yep.
there.
Yeah, that's okay. We decided.
No problem.
Mark, do you want me to start updating this draft or to save it as an, I don't know if I have editing privileges.
I believe you should. There's a PDF, and then there is a Word document.
Yes. Actually, I downloaded the Word document and I could work on that. Or do you want me to work on this drive?
Let's just do the Word document there. I think I just created that tonight. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, I just copied it. So it
Okay.
doesn't owe me anything. Okay.
So I can work right on the document we're all looking at
Sure.
together.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I just signed into Google. Sorry, I had forgotten to do that. And yeah, it looks like I can do things. Okay, so we're going to change the short-term goals to the 24 fiscal year.
Or how about just take out the year? I mean, well,
Oh, I can't edit it. How about if I edit it on the Word document that I already have on my own and not edit the Google document? Or Mark, do you want to edit it?
I could make you an editor right now.
Make me an editor right now. And I'm going to, the date at the top that says August 17th. I think that has to be changed to not yet approved. Because it's a whole new document, right?
well,
Yep.
or you could put the original date of approval by the select board and then another line underneath it that says updated on this date. I think we should have the fact that this was approved by the select board on that date.
Okay, so originally, all right, I'll work on this.
Yeah, or just the line that's already there, but just then add another line that says updated on this date today.
Mhm. Okay,
Are you editing something, Connie, or did you get a in somewhere, or are you
I'm in now. Yeah, I'm working
Okay.
on the Word version of it.
Okay. Great.
July 26th. Okay, okay, guys, don't have to wait for me to type the date. I'm good.
Okay. So statement of purpose seems good, right? We still have the same purpose.
Yes, I think so.
So down to I think, this document to me at least seemed rather aggressive in terms of like there was a lot of stuff on there to try and accomplish.
Ambitious. Let's
right?
say ambitious. Just
Ambitious.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, I think it might be good to make it less ambitious, or not saying we're not going to do the work, but there was a lot of like long-term goals in there, right, that we worked on, and I felt like there was a period where we weren't exactly sure what we wanted to do next, and also things changed, right? There were a lot of things that had changed.
Yep.
So the density I think I heard before I got cut off about the legible and effective affordable housing density bonus regulations, et cetera. Is that something that's still relevant?
Virginia?
Probably still relevant. I mean,
Is
it's a
that
way of attracting affordable housing. I would not say that it was a short-term goal. I would say that it was a goal. You know, I mean, I think all of these should just be in one category of, or certainly I wouldn't keep that as a short-term goal. I'd put it as a long-term goal.
I'll move it down.
Yeah. And maybe all three of these under short-term goals are really long-term goals.
So we're only going to have long-term goals.
Yeah, I would just put it goals. I'd just call it goals. I mean, these are our goals, and if we
Okay.
want to at some point refine this with some timelines, maybe, but maybe for right now, we can just call them all goals and go from there.
Okay.
We're not going
But-
to do any of them anytime soon.
So they're not the goals for the 2024 fiscal year.
Nope.
Nope. These are just our ongoing goals.
These are
So-
ongoing goals. And maybe we can develop some goals for the 23, 24 year. I mean, we'll have to think about that exactly. But we want to have a short-term goal.
Okay.
term goals, right? To say, hey, you know, in the next, right, we meet once a month, the next 12 months, 12 meetings, right? What are we hoping to accomplish in that time period?
Yeah.
Um,
So I guess, I mean, if you want to keep a category of short-term goals, you could have as a short-term goal that we update the select board on our researches into village affordable housing. We should do that within the next year, right? I mean, we're getting there close.
Yeah.
So that would be something that we could do within the next year.
Yep. Okay. So on affordable housing in the village.
Yes, update the select board on
Yeah.
what we've done on our research into affordable housing in the village.
Can you folks hear me?
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, I would really like to get that to the select board before the end of the year. You've done the research, it's been ongoing for many months now. Looking over that doc today, the affordable housing doc, I mean, it's pretty much complete. I don't know how much data collection we need to do. And I think that that's something that we need to talk about later in the agenda. But just as for time's sake, I'd really like to get that taken care of before the end of the year.
Well,
that's-
why don't we put that as a goal for 2023?
Now, which one is this? The updating the select board on research or?
Yes, yes. Updating research, which Mark and Keith have been working on the presentation for the select board. So we could have that how does that sound, Keith, by the end of 2023?
Yeah, and quite frankly, I want to make a harder date than that, but we'll talk about that and the feasibility of that. But yes, I think that would be perfect before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. That was the end of the calendar year, so I made that clear. All right.
Okay. Here's another goal that we could have as a short-term goal for the calendar year 2023, which is to understand S100, the Housing Committee understand S100, which will be possible, which we'll talk about also later in the program here. But I think that would be a good goal to have, is so that the Housing Committee knows what the new law requires of us as regards housing and affordable housing.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got both of those. Can you see my updates or are they just being
No.
saved to the Google? No, okay, well, I guess I'll download this and make sure I've got a copy of it, but it gets saved to the drive on the Word document, so don't worry about it. Um,
Fine.
Okay, what else would we like to do by the end of 23?
Do you see any additional work on the, zoning changes that have been? Has everything been?
Well, so the two RC districts were adopted by the select board. So they're in place. However, with S100, we may have to make some somewhat small changes to those. Whether we can do that by the end of 2023, I don't know. It could certainly be in 2024. And the new neighborhoods that we're working on right now, and really seriously incorporating the S100 requirements, whether we can do that by the end of 23, I don't know. It depends how much discussion there is about that. Certainly
that
by the
something-
end of 24, I would say we will have that done by the end of 24.
So is this something the housing committee does or the planning commission does when you say incorporate S100 requirements?
The planning commission will have to do that, incorporated into the zoning.
Right. So what can we do as a housing committee to support that?
Well, you can know what it says.
Okay. So
I
we
think
have
it's-
so we have understand the S100 I
Yeah.
put down as passed by Vermont legislature in 2023. And I guess support appropriate zoning changes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And, suggest things if you have the bandwidth to try to figure it out. I mean, it's complicated, obviously, but
I expect it is, yeah.
so, but what you've said would be perfect, I think, for
Okay.
2023.
Okay. Right. And so now let's move on to the long-term goals.
Well, so
Kiki?
then there's the question about updating the demographics. Do we think we are going to do that in 23? Probably not, right?
Seems like we just reviewed it in like February. So
We did? Did we review it in February?
Well,
Oh, okay.
there was an intern that Ravi had hired that finished, I guess she did a report in December, and we got access to the documents. Maybe it was in January. I can go back in my notes and look. But Ravi had, gone through the trouble of creating an internship position, and she sort of had a because of the previous work that Brandy did, she had a method to follow to update our data. And I don't know if it's our goal to update that every year, but we should think about it. It's now I've just moved collect and maintain data on the community demographics as long-term goals because we've done that for 2 years. And we could certainly do it, more often, every year or whatever it is that we wanted to do it. But it's now sort of an ongoing goal to maintain it.
Okay. Yep, I agree. And I don't know whether that intern's report really updated the whole demographics. Wasn't she was working with a certain small section of information that was available to her from the
Keith,
state or something.
Keith, are you familiar with this?
I'm not, but I'm sure, knowing Ravi, he put it in the Google Drive, and I could dig that out.
Yep. I know he did. And he's got something called Juliana's spreadsheet, last
Yeah.
updated December of 2022.
Sounds
So that
awful.
was, yeah, so those are the documents that we updated. The question is how do we then use that information? If you don't use it, then it's pointless. But having the data is sort of a starting point to knowing whether or not you're meeting your housing goals for a community. And that was the goal of that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that data is also going to be transmitted to CCRCP and to Housing and Urban Development.
Yeah.
And I know that we do that on a monthly basis with our permitting. And I imagine that's how we capture a lot of that data. But I'd have to see what his mechanisms were before that. And again, knowing Revy, and I have access to him, we talk on a weekly, if not more than that basis. I could certainly ask him about it.
Mhm.
And the question of what we do with that, I think, is very relevant. I mean,
Yes,
it's not, what's the point of having this information if you don't do it? And also the phrase, identify housing issues within the town, I don't know if we would like to do something with that on a yearly basis or every other year or every 10 years, or I don't know.
well, isn't the housing issue basically lack thereof?
Yeah, probably.
Pretty to the point, identification. I think we know what the issues are. It's how do we get from that issue to where we want to go?
Well, that's pretty general for an issue. I mean, is it like lack of rental, lack of affordable, lack of,
Yes.
single family? What are we lacking here? And why are we saying that we lack it? How do we know? Are we having a lot of people asking for it? Or I don't know. It just seems kind of vague and general to say the problem is we don't have enough housing. Well, okay, but yeah.
I think we
Are
know.
there any, I was gonna say, has there been any discussion at the planning commission or select board level around like their desired participation in the what's it called, the Building Homes Together campaign, right? Like, do they want to say, hey, we're going to be contributing X amount of affordable housing, or we want to build more housing in general? Like, is there any targets that are being set by those?
Well, as far as I know, there's not, and they think that having formed a housing committee, it's all taken care of.
Yeah, I would
So
agree.
that is that part of what we should do is help, help set some goals for the town and have a discussion with the town about that, right? I mean, obviously there was some pretty strong objections to like doing anything with the ball field, right? So, we have a lot of that NIMBYism in our community as well.
Yes. Mhm.
And is that part of like, do we set some goals and then work to try and
Advance them.
or persuade the town to say, hey, why this is important for us?
I would think that the forum for that is upcoming when we do that affordable housing report. Maybe we could add those questions to the report. You've done your charge in the sense of the affordable housing report, and that I think that's the perfect opportunity to query the board. Okay, what do you want? You give us some direction, although I don't know if you even want to go down that give us some direction point of view, because that could be never ending.
Well,
Yeah,
also
so I think this point is covered in the third bullet, actually, under short-term goals. And
but that's the affordable housing density bonus.
well, no, it's because the third bullet is to study the blah, 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 provide policy recommendations to municipal boards to alleviate housing issues. But I mean, maybe what we need to do is to present something to them like, okay, let's look at the building houses together. Let's look at those numbers. Is this a goal that the town would like to pursue? I don't think we're just going to be able to say, what do you want? Because they're not going to know what they want. But if we have a suggestion as to what a reasonable goal would be about housing, maybe that would fly better. But it's not going to be in 2023, I doubt. We can introduce it now with this affordable housing report, but my guess is that what they're going to say is, well, what should we do? Because that's why they formed the housing committee. They wanted to be told what it was that they could do.
So I've moved study the planning and zoning ordinances paragraph down under long-term goals. Would you make any other changes to that bullet, Virginia?
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking maybe either by the end of 23 or by the end of 24, we help the select board to determine what the policy goals would be. Just making that bullet a little more specific.
And
Like,
is that under this year or is that under long-term?
I don't know, I guess maybe I'd put it under 24.
Okay, so this year.
Yeah, so we have short-term, well, no, this year is 2023 if it's calendar year, and then next year is 2024 if it's calendar year.
No,
So we
we're
have two
using-
categories of,
It uses the 2024 fiscal year from July to July. That's what the original document says. So I was going to keep with that.
okay,
So
Okay.
when we said we're going to do this by December of 23, that's this year. And when we say we're going to work on something in 2024, that can also be this year.
well, I mean, what do you guys think? Is that something that we can do with what, what we've got here, just the three of us and Keith? Is that something we can do to actually suggest what it is, what we're planning to currently present to the select board is our research shows that it's going to be very difficult to have affordable housing in the village.
Correct.
So what are we going to do now? Do we want to try to expand and look at areas outside the village not served by water and sewer? Or do we want to do something else? And maybe we should say, does the select board want to adopt some goals? What do we suggest? We'd have to make a suggestion as to what a goal might be to advance the housing goals in the town plan. The other thing, by the way, about the town plan is that in S100, we are required to add detail to our housing goals in the town plan.
Yep.
So this is something we're going to have to work on anyway. We're going to have to develop some specific plans, ways to get to more housing.
So what I've written under the short-term goals for this next year includes, there are three of them. So it's update the select board on our research,
Yeah.
understand S100,
Yeah.
and then the third one I just wrote is recommend to the select board additional options to expand affordable housing and goals to achieve for the town by July 2024. In other words,
And
we are accomplishing.
And not just affordable housing. I think housing goals in general,
Okay.
including affordable housing, but housing goals in general. Because
Exactly, yeah.
that's
Because
what the
S100
S100 says.
Okay, yeah, S100 is not all just about affordable housing, it's about housing in general, correct?
Right.
Yes, and it gives special treatment to affordable housing in some cases. I like to make the term affordable housing also synonymous with houses that are affordable. Now, it's a different way that you go about that, obviously, or is differently supported by the state and the federal government. But boy, houses that are affordable are different than affordable housing. That's kind of the mindset we need to get into and get off the strictly affordable housing. Although this report is focused on that, which is fine. And I think that to close that circle of thought, that's where at the end of that document that we present to the select board is that we lay out, how we're going to move forward with houses that are affordable or housing in general, which would then throw in, hopefully, some affordable housing.
Well, that's
So-
not going to happen by next week, for instance.
No. But what I've said is recommend to the select board by July 2024 additional options to expand housing, including affordable housing, and goals to achieve for the town.
Housing goals.
And housing goals to achieve for the town.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's-
in our research document, we can have that as our next step,
Correct,
right?
yeah.
Or one of our next steps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there
So
won't be any
here's a-
details there, but it will be, that's what the next step is. Because we would
Correct.
like to get the research presented to them like now,
Yes.
Yep.
so that they are in sympathy with our next goal, which would be this one.
And that's what I worked on with that document a little bit. It needs a little more fleshing out, but you know, when we come down to that, I'll pop that up on the screen and I'll show you what I have so far. So. But we need to go ahead and finish the charge.
Okay, so that's good. That sounds like,
So long-term goals,
and by the way, Connie, in your second bullet, you did also put that you would support the planning commission's efforts
yes, and it
in
says,
this regard. Yes,
so it
thank
says,
you.
understand S100 and support appropriate zoning changes in 2024.
Right.
Okay. Righty. Okay, long-term goals. It's no longer a draft list. I'm going to take that word out. We've had it around for long enough that it's no longer a draft. And I moved, and it now says maintain and update data on the community's demographics. We might choose not to do that this year. Maybe we do it every other year, depending on how quickly we move through understanding 1 year's worth of data and doing something about it. Is that
So
okay
there are
to have
no-
that one?
There are
Mhm.
no dates in the long-term goals, right? I
Right.
mean, I would just put the thing
Right.
about the updating and understanding the data and developing some way to use it as a long-term goal. No date set.
Yep. Yep. Okay. The second one is study this was also moved down from short term. Study the planning and zoning ordinances and the town plan and provide policy recommendations and advance the housing goals in the town plan. Now we've kind of said that up above and under the short term. Do we still need this one?
Well, we are not going to have time probably to develop the policy recommendations. I mean, in the short term, if we mention it in our affordable housing research report, if we mention that our next step would be to develop some policy recommendations, we're not going to have the policy recommendations done in the short term, I wouldn't think.
Okay, so I'll leave
I
that
mean,
one
what
as
do
it
you
is.
all think? Are we going to be able to develop policy recommendations to the select board
by next year.
by July of next year? I don't know, maybe. That's ambitious.
I think it's a worthy goal.
Okay, sure.
Well, so do you want another short-term goal there besides recommending the options to expand housing and with the housing goals?
I mean,
Or
if
is
we're
this-
rolling it to July of 24, yeah, that would be a short-term goal. I wouldn't, yeah. But again, that's ambitious, I believe, but again, a worthy goal. So I don't want to go around in
Right.
circles, but.
Well, I've got study the planning and zoning ordinances in the long-term goals. Shall I move them back up to the short-term goals?
I would say
Well,
yes.
I mean, I feel like that is already kind of taken care of. I mean, to make our recommendations for next year, I think we're going to have to look at some potential zoning and planning ordinances. So maybe we don't really necessarily need to call that out or leave that in the long-term goals.
Well, if we're going to
Anyway.
do it anyway, then why not put it in short-term? I can put
Well,
it back.
I think he's saying just cut out the first part of that sentence and put as your bullet, provide policy recommendations to municipal boards to alleviate housing issues in the town and advance the goals.
And is that now short-term?
Which
Yeah.
is here's
Okay.
the target that we should try to hit for increasing housing. And here are some ideas on how to do that. I mean, I think that's
Okay.
Yep. And then, I mean, if you want it as a long-term goal, you could put continue to monitor the planning and zoning ordinances and the town plan and look for opportunities to further our advancement of housing. I mean, we want to do that over time as things change. That's like a continuing goal, I would say.
Okay, so I've got that one under long-term goals. And then, so we're going to keep the maintain and update data on the community's demographics under long-term goals.
Yeah.
The next one I have is about affordable housing density bonus. Come on, guys. It's okay. Keep that under long-term goals.
Yeah, I would say.
Okay. And then the next thing after that is a list of, it says advanced smart growth goals by fostering, and a whole lot of very positive sounding things that look like they would take a lot of work, like
Yep.
public
That's fine.
transit, walking and biking. So I'm good with fostering. I think,
We can just leave that there. I mean,
okay,
Do we want to change it instead of long-term goals? Can we just say long-term activities or, like, I feel like these aren't necessarily goals, but these are things that we as a committee could choose to do.
how about goals and activities? Although,
I don't know. I'm good with goals. I mean, they're general goals. We want to advance smart growth. That's like a guiding principle, more than a goal. Maybe it's a
Right.
like
It's kind of how we think
guiding
about it or how
guiding principle.
what we keep in mind. So yeah, guiding principles or committee
okay,
activity. That's why I was going with something like that, because I don't see us like creating the creation of the residential neighborhoods and that are accessible, by this committee in the next year, per se.
Well, it just says by fostering, advance smart growth goals by fostering. It doesn't say that we have to do it. It just says we have to support it if it should come up, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
so I put down long-term guiding principles and activities. Some of these are clearly actions.
Right.
Okay. Then I'm down to investigate the relationship between housing and other townwide issues and providing solutions to housing correlated issues in terms of housing. That is a very vague statement.
Yeah, I would eliminate in terms of housing right off the bat. It's kind of redundant.
How
Yeah.
about eliminating the whole bullet? I mean, we're doing that already and everything else we're talking about.
Yeah,
Well,
that-
You could leave it there. I mean, why not? Investigate the relationship between housing and other townwide issues. I mean,
Okay,
Well, yeah, I mean, walkability would be involved in that.
Yeah.
yeah, transportation certainly, but in terms of housing, the last 4 words you could take out.
did that. Next one is promote methods to advance renewable energy usage and energy efficiency in housing.
Yes, definitely. We have to leave that in there.
Okay. Then the next one is identify locations within town that can support additional housing and growth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're working
That's what
on
we
that.
did.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
It's
that's
like
great.
a lot of town plan bullets here too, so.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Identify opportunities and secure funding to, and then further study housing needs and housing policies and revitalize and adapt to older areas into viable housing options.
sounds
that-
good.
Is that second bullet Jonesville related or? I mean, that's the first thing that comes up in my mind,
Yeah, me too, but
which is fine. It's good.
yeah,
Okay. And work with housing partners to bolster the livability of the Richmond community and to create inclusive housing options. Sounds also good.
why not? And in the one right before it, revitalize and adapt older areas. How about older areas and buildings into viable housing options?
Okay.
Older areas and yeah.
There might be some buildings in Jonesville that,
Some old chicken coops.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Chicken coops converted to housing, so I'm
Yeah.
I like it.
Membership. Housing committee consists of up to 9 full-time committee members and 2 alternate members.
And we reduce that to 7, right?
Yeah,
Sure. 7 it is, and 2 alternate members. At least 5 of its members will be from the public at large. Such members, it's not exactly what we've got here, but
what does that mean exactly? That we can have members who are not from the public at large?
well, you're not a member, you're not from the public at large.
That's true. I was supposed to be just the liaison. Okay.
Yeah. So how about if we say at least 2 of its members will be from the public at large? Should we change that? Make it true?
Well, I mean, in theory, on our next topic, we should be trying to increase our membership. So that would adjust.
I'd leave that sentence out personally, but whoever we can get to be on this committee would be good.
You're okay with that, Mark?
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Any objections, Keith?
Oh, no, not at all. No, I follow your lead on this.
Okay, such members do not necessarily need to be town of Richmond residents. However, non-residents interested in serving on the housing committee must express an interest in town housing issues and display expertise in housing related matters. At least 2 of the members may be from the planning commission. Yes. At least 2 of the members may be from other Richmond town boards, including the Selectboard, DRB, and Conservation Committee. All housing committee members shall serve 2-year terms. The town planner shall assist the housing committee upon request, which we request. Thank you, Keith. All members shall hold interest and or expertise in housing and housing related matters. All full-time and alternate housing committee members shall attend all monthly meetings and or meetings at other arranged times. All members may be expected to undertake periodic work outside committee meetings, such as external research, interviews, site visits, or training opportunities. All full-time housing committee members have voting powers. Only in the event of the absence of 1 or more full-time housing committee members during a regular meeting, housing committee alternate members shall have voting powers, taking the place of the absent full-time housing committee member or members during said meeting. Okay. I think we got it.
So just to be, I'm thinking of the recreation committee right now, but should we say, so if all the voting members are going to have, if all the regular members are going to have voting powers, what if all the members are not from Richmond?
You mean
We
they're all
haven't-
not?
Maybe what that sentence, the second sentence in that paragraph should say is at least like 4 should be from Richmond or something. Because I'm always amazed
How
at
about at least half?
the rec commission, there's a Bolton rep and who's the vice chair now, and a Huntington rep who's the chair. And if only one other Richmond person shows up, they have a quorum of 5, 2 of which are not from Richmond, and they're making decisions about the town of Richmond, which has not seemed quite right to me. But.
So should we say at least half of the members shall be from Richmond?
Well, 4.
Well, we don't have 4. That's why we took that sentence out.
Oh, at least 5 of the members. Okay, a majority of the members shall be from Richmond.
Okay.
Now, are we a 9-member board or a 7-member board?
7.
5?
Committee.
We're 7 now. Okay, so that means 4 is a quorum?
No, I think we're
No,
still on 3.
It's 5 to 7 is the
That's-
way the select board changed it. They changed it to call it a 5 to 7 member board. So we have been considering 3 as a quorum.
Yes, that's right. Connie, thank you. We talked about that early on. Yeah, okay. Wow. I was thinking
So
3 members.
I mean, it's a weird thing to say that a board is consisting of 5 to 7 members in a way, because it doesn't establish a quorum. But if you
Right.
said, if we said the housing committee
Yeah.
can consist of 5 to 7 members.
I think that's problematic, but that's only because in the
Well-
last 20 years, I've never seen a board that stated it has 5 to 7 members, so it doesn't mean you can't.
The way we've got it in under membership says the housing committee consists of up to 7 full-time members.
Yeah, well,
Up to 7, then it doesn't have a
Yeah.
bottom.
Well, then
That's-
you can't, it's hard to establish a quorum if you just
Well,
say
but you can
up to.
say with a quorum of at least 3 members.
Okay,
Does-
I mean, I guess that would work. A quorum shall consist of at least 3 members.
regardless of the size of the board, I guess, or something like that.
Well, it will, what is a quorum usually defined as? A majority of the members. So if we said a quorum a quorum will consist of 3 members or a majority of the full-time members.
I mean,
Or it
would not a quorum just adjust depending on if today we have 5 members and next month we have 7 members? I mean, the quorum would just adjust.
Well, we
From-
can't have a member unless the select board says, yes, Tommy Jones is now a member. So it doesn't change that rapidly.
Yep.
And then if he's a member or she's a member, talking about Tommy here, it's still 3 as a quorum. It doesn't
Well-
change until we're up to 7.
Then I think you have to say the housing committee consists of 5 to 7 members. That is what the select board said.
Okay.
And
I
then
changed
the quorum will take care of itself, I guess, because it could be a quorum of 5. And we could say the majority of members should be from the town of Richmond. I just want to make sure that all of the members it is not the case that they're all not from the town of Richmond.
This is a wording problem that I think we should take another look at, because if we really want to finish this now, it's going to take us the rest of the meeting. It says at least 2 of the members may be from other Richmond town boards and commissions. So it says at least 2, maybe, not must, not shall, but maybe. So does that mean maybe not? The wording doesn't make a lot of sense there to me.
Right, okay.
As opposed to saying up to 2 members may be from Richmond. Well, now I know what that means. But if it's at least, then you
Right.
can't have less, but it's a maybe, so maybe not. So it's like,
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, let's rewrite that paragraph.
Okay.
Take it out for the moment and put a holding marker in there for
Okay,
rewriting.
I'm gonna put a bracket around it and you guys can look at it, because
Yeah.
it's just a weird, change
We'll
this.
we'll send you our rewrite suggestions and you can
I
work
will
with them.
I will send it to you. Okay, and I'm keeping the piece about the quorum in there for now. Just, you can take it out if you don't like it, but we put it in. So we now have 5 to 7 members. We took out the second sentence, and made other changes. So I want you to take a look at it and just see how it reads, because you can't read what I've written unless I share my screen,
Okay.
which will cut down on bandwidth and also take up more of our meeting time. And I don't want to do that. I think we're 95% of the way there.
Okay, so you can send us what you have, Connie, and then we'll comment on it or
Okay,
rewrite it the way we think it ought to be rewritten and send that back to you. And you can
I
work with that.
will do that.
Great.
And thank you.
Thank you, Connie, for working through that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. It's things like this are always all right, this is what you want. Let's see what it really sounds like, and we'll get there.
This is not right.
Um,
All right, should
um,
we move on to our next agenda? Heath, we have a hard stop at 6:45. Is that what it was? or do we not have a hard stop?
Oh, well, I believe, yeah, I mean, my understanding is that it's at 7, but we did have that discussion of the hard stop though. So,
So there's another committee meeting you need to attend at 7, correct?
that starts at 7, and that's the DRB.
Okay. Yep.
20 minutes.
So let's aim for 6:45.
Yes. 5:36.
So our
Sorry,
next,
let me mute myself.
so going into the next item, obviously recruitment, right? We talked about 5 to 7 members. We don't have 5 to 7 members. I'm thinking that once we can iron out some of these goals, then that's part of hopefully.
Mark, we lost you. Mark. Mark.
Oh, well.
That's okay. He stayed with us for a really long time and he's going to figure it out.
Summer presents all sorts of difficulties.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so anyway, Keith is going to go on working on the presentation, right, Keith? Is that what I understand?
Yeah, that's correct. But ideas for membership recruitment, money and lots of it. We'll probably get some people in the door. That's my idea. Cheesecake, barbecue, stuff like that. Kind of the way my mom works. I don't know, what do you think about ideas for membership recruitment? I'd love to get up to 5, obviously. It's the
Well,
age old.
I think Mark was about to say that our new goals might entice people, just like people don't get excited about general things, but when there's something specific to work on, help us work on this thing. Then you get people showing up at a meeting. And I think that's what he was just trying to say.
Yes, that was what I was trying to say, if you can hear me.
All right. Okay.
Back.
Okay.
Okay, so let's do the goals then first and get this document under control before we talk about the membership recruitment.
Okay.
And I had started a front porch forum post, but I'd like to include that in there and share on front porch forum what our goals are and try and entice people to come.
Yep. Good. All right. So we're down to discuss recommendations, and Virginia just said while you were off for just a few seconds, Mark, that Keith is working on updating the presentation. Is that right?
Do you folks see the screen sharing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so what's bold is what I've been working on and the potential next steps, which I think is critical to this document. I think everything before that is in really good shape. Again, I didn't go over with a fine-tooth comb. I just remember going over it a couple months ago, and it was pretty impressive actually. But the first bold bullet point is really a rehash of the first one. Richmond is limited in open space, contiguous to needed amenities to make affordable housing projects possible. And I just schlepped in S100, which allows for an increase in density for housing in areas served by water and sewer infrastructure. And again, this is my own thoughts here, and it's kind of rough. It needs to be fleshed out. But the town of Richmond has few undeveloped parcels, and I think we've arrived at that conclusion already. And I also alluded to the fact that the thinking needs to be to housing that is affordable and not just affordable housing. I think that's kind of, I can say a paradigm shift, but it's kind of the way we need to look at this, because I think the select board's charge to you folks was to look specifically at affordable housing, if I'm not correct. Also, I do have some experience with as a past conservation specialist and working in the USDA rural development program. They do quite a bit of low-cost loans to folks that don't have the means. And I'm not sure, I need to bring that up with CCRCP at some point, and if they even have that on their radar screen. So that's what I got through today at this point. If there's anything else that you can add to it, please let me know.
Keith, I just wanted to point out that under our statement of purpose and the document we were just working on, affordable housing doesn't occur. It doesn't show up until we talk about the goals. So our
Okay.
statement of purpose is about housing.
Yes, okay. So, I mean, this document would reiterate that.
Yes.
You know, this document, as you look at it, is obviously directed towards affordable housing.
And did we also want to put on here that we would like to develop a set of policy objectives regarding housing that the select board would adopt?
Mhm.
Right. That's what we just talked about, right? In our
Yeah, the
goals.
goal that we just talked about is to actually develop some, you know, I don't want to use the word enforceable, but some adopted goals. And that's going to involve looking at the CCRPC material. What are their goals? What can we adopt as goals? We have to develop them. We don't have them right now, but we would like to adopt some goals that the select board would actually adopt as town-wide adopted housing goals. Develop goals for additional housing or policies that the select board can adopt as policies. Maybe develop additional housing goals that the select board can adopt. I don't know, something like that. You'll have to work on that line, and they do not occur. We're not ready with them for this document, but I think we need to get this document out there and just say that one of our goals is working on coming up with some recommendations that we will make to the select board that they can adopt as housing goals. And see if they want to do that. I don't know if they want to do that or not. This is,
Yeah,
And I might put that as at the top. I might put that as the first, right? Like, hey, here's what we've done. We want to develop some additional housing goals.
yeah, and it doesn't come under the bullet, look at infill project options. It's a freestanding item.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fully out to the left.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else? I don't think that's probably enough at this point. And then, you know, I can clean this up and again, I'm just working on potential next steps.
Yeah.
I mean, do we think, you know, we had some next steps for those different parcels? You know, do we think any of them really have any legs with some additional research or discussion with the landowners, etc.?
Well, that comes under further investigate the recommendations, whatever the first bullet was there, which is gone now.
Right.
It's further investigating it means is there any realistic chance that this will happen, basically? And we certainly want to encourage the select board not to say, go back and study this some more, because I don't think we really want to do that, but.
Yeah.
So take that first bullet out.
Well, or slant it in some way, like saying, is there any realistic chance that any of these projects could happen? Or something like that,
Assess feasibility of these projects.
Well, we've kind of done that. I guess you know, I guess who would take the next step of the, you know, let's just say Juliana Court, we were able to help them with phase 3 and 4. Like, is that something that we're saying the select board should help work with them on, or we should as the housing committee? call up Jolena Court and the owners and say, let's see if we can help you get some financing for
Yeah, I
phase
think
3 and
that
4.
I think that ship has sailed for that specific area.
Well, then
Um,
there's the FAR properties, you know, I mean, we had 4 options. Are any of these worth pursuing any further, or are they all done?
And who would do this work? You know, frankly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I would start with my office, I would think, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
well, it is not feasible for you to do the things that would need to be done to advance these projects. I do not think.
no, I don't think from start to finish, but it would probably start with my office. But you know, I'd have to lean on you folks also. I mean, it's a collaborative effort.
Okay, well, I think that first sentence needs to be rewritten a little bit, that to give it the correct spin and not have the select board just say,
Yeah, don't ask the question. Basically.
yeah, I mean, you know, this is what we found.
How about confirm? Well, potential next steps, abandon, you know, adapt it further. Or if it's look elsewhere, then you've got the second bullet and you don't need the first bullet.
Yeah,
If you're saying essentially, we looked at these 4, we
Right.
don't think any of them are viable. Let's look elsewhere.
yeah.
What's the bullet, look at the infill project options? What did you have in mind there, Keith?
I was just, it's kind of a free form. So looking at infill, specifically with the approach of housing that is affordable. And so this may require zoning revisions to allow for a greater density in areas not served by water and sewer. I.e. the AR district. But as we know, this approach would bring about challenges also, which water and wastewater would be an issue as far as going to scale. It is about scale when you have that infrastructure, and you can do the scale with the infrastructure. And you know, we might be able to, you know, get more duplexes in the AR district. We might be able to get more PUDs that are affordable. I don't know. It's just that affordable housing in the AR district is probably a non-starter.
Well, I think we have to, it's almost 6:45, so I think we have to think about this section a little bit more.
Yep. No, I agree. I agree. It's in
And
negative.
I need to go back and read everything that was said about the parcels that we investigated and see if there's anything in there that we actually want to ask the select board if they actually are still interested in after this report. So maybe let's put that on our next agenda or be thinking about this over the next month.
Okay.
Good.
Potential next steps. It's not ready.
And Keith, how would you envision this being presented? Is this something that you would present to the select board? I would present, we would present together.
I think it would be collaborative also. I don't have a problem presenting it. The thing is I have to own it before I present it, which would work. But certainly, I will take your lead on that. If you wish for me to present it, I have no problem doing that. If you wish me to support, ultimately, I have no problem with that either. I'm
Yeah.
easy.
Okay. I would definitely welcome the support. I mean, I could work on
Yep.
making the presentation, but there are probably questions that I wouldn't be able to answer.
Sure, not a problem. Not a problem.
I think if we can't come up with adequate next steps, we should just present the presentation without next steps. This is what we've found in our research. But anyway, let's work a little bit on potential next steps. But that
Let's do
kind
it.
of opens up a big area. You could just present it as an update on what we've been doing. Here's what we've been doing. We've been looking at these parcels. They have these advantages and these disadvantages. And that's where we are at right now. Because we haven't, you know, I mean, we aren't ready, I don't think, to ask the select board what they want us to do now.
Well,
Really.
I would agree with that, but I think that we need to ask ourselves, what do we want to do? We don't necessarily need to have the select board's buy-in at this point, and I think that's the exercise here. But that's me thinking with the potential next steps. I think that really sets in motion the next year of this board. That's kind of the thinking that I'm going through.
Yeah, okay. Well, yep, let's all think about it.
Yes. Sleep on it.
When's our
No.
next meeting? Is it August 23rd at 5:30?
I
Yes,
believe-
it's the fourth, whatever the fourth Thursday, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
It's the 23rd. Yep, I'll be out of town, but I'll be able to join the meeting. So,
That's
Okay.
what I wanted to know. Okay, thank you, Virginia. I'm able to make it as well.
Yeah,
Um,
no,
So we're not doing the planning commission update, so I've got that on the agenda for next time, including.
no, and basically we're looking at S100 is what we're doing mostly. So
Okay.
that's
So
mostly
that's
what we're working
still to
on.
come. So for next time, we've got updated committee charge, membership recruitment, the presentation for the select board, and the update from the planning commission. Do we want to invite anybody else? I mean, this was a pretty full meeting and we didn't get through everything, which wasn't a
Yeah, we
surprise,
had-
but
We had Gary Bresser reached out, and I tentatively scheduled him for next meeting to come and talk about his ideas for housing in Richmond, which I think Keith, you've already seen, heard a preview or his pitch before, right?
yes.
Well, which one? He's got a few of them.
well, let him tell us.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't, before, I haven't seen his housing presentation. I mean, I've seen his walkability or his Western Gateway one.
Do we have
So,
time for him in August or do we want him in September?
He said 20, he would want 20 minutes or so.
Right, and we're still working on our charge and our membership and our presentation, which are kind of high priorities, all three of them.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think
So
later.
we'll do it
probably.
September. Okay.
Okay,
And here's the other thing that doesn't affect our next meeting, but there's a Jericho group on their planning commission that has spearheaded a project which I think has bought a piece of land. The town has bought a piece of land for affordable housing, and they were going to come and talk to the planning commission at our next meeting. Are they coming? Do we know, Keith, or not?
No. yeah,
We
I mean,
don't.
I'm in conversation with good Lord, his name escapes me.
Chris Granda?
Yeah, Chris, and so he's gonna reach out to Susan and see what her availability is. I did state to them that we have 20 to 30 minutes to provide, and I don't want to go any over that.
Yeah, and that could either be at our next meeting, which is on the 2nd, or maybe the 20th. The 2nd or 16th of August.
But I
And
think,
they wanted maybe I wanted the housing committee to hear this talk about affordable housing because it's really in the bailiwick of the housing committee. Chris
yeah,
Granda wanted them to come to the planning commission, so we wanted to somehow have a joint meeting.
or
so
at
can
least-
we just
fine.
attend as members of the public, Virginia, and just come
Yeah.
to that planning commission?
Or attend as members of the housing committee.
Sure.
So,
So just
I
let
get-
us know what the date turns out to be.
yeah,
once I get that nailed down, I'll include you folks in that, definitely.
that would be good. And I will also send out everybody what we're doing with S100, just, for your bedtime reading.
We're chunking through that.
Fantastic.
Bedtime reading, okay. Not a
All
lot
All
of
right.
happens.
I know it's rapid fire here at the end. Any other final business?
Nope, I'm good.
I think we're good.
Appreciate it. We'll call the meeting here at 6:51.
6:50.
Okay,
Have a good evening.
6:51.
Excellent.
Everybody, thanks and goodbye. Good night.
Thank you. Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.